when a client comes down or a prospective client comes down and sits with us and they say, well, I have a large chunk of money, $500,000, $1 million in my 401k. And the first question we ask them is, well, how are you investing it? Mm-hmm. And they say, I don't know. I picked something that said I'm going to retire in the year 2060.
Yeah. So
and they just let it go.
Their age. Yeah.
It's based on their age and what year they might want to retire.
Yeah.
And they could be target date funds, as they're referred to, or age-based funds.
Sure.
And what the industry has tried to do is say, we're going to manage it for you and we're going to make it really simple. Mm-hmm. And we're going to base it on your age and how many years you have to retire. And as you get closer to that retirement age, we're going to make it super conservative so you see no fluctuation in value.
On the surface, that sounds great, right?
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's like I don't have to do anything.
It's actually one of my frustrations in the industry.
So you and I are 46 years old.
It's awesome.
Danielle's about to be 46.
I'm not going to say how old Krista's going to be.
No, but that's one of the jokes in our household is that she's not quite as old as me. She's about 6 months younger. So she's like, don't rush me. I'm not 46 yet. You're the old man. You're the older person in the relationship. So it's pretty funny. So
this is us.
This is us. This is we're 46. And you know, that age group, right? So you look at whether it's the 45 to 55-year-olds or so on. And it's a fair amount of people that we work with, right? That we talk to. It's an interesting part of life, right? Because you've got children, right? That in your case, your first child is about to go off to college, but you've got younger kids. I've got younger kids. You've also got aging parents, right? Yeah. And so on. So you're in this kind of, there's a term for that I'm forgetting right now, but you're squished between what is the term? What is that? It's something of it's something of that generation where you've got pressures on both sides. You get young kids, you get financial pressures. So what is when you think of the conversations that we're having in this kind of age group, right? You've got working professionals, they've got children, they've got older parents. Like, what are the things that either they're coming to us with or we're able to deliver to them that I think are really making a difference for their long term?
Yeah, I think when I think of that demographic, prime of their career, right? They've put those early stages out. They're really starting to make good money, and they have a lot of big financial decisions to start planning for.
Right.
And what I have found is most of the people that are coming to us are kind of doing the same things they did when they were first in their careers, whether that's the way they saved into a retirement plan or the way that they saved money. They never really thought about what does the future hold.
So they're doing it, they're kind of defaulting into things like they've been doing.
Yeah.
And maybe, are you saying that they're starting to get to a point now where they're giving some maybe deeper thought to kind of their intentions, their actions?
Yeah, I mean, the money they're putting away or saving or spending or thinking about is going to have a real impact on their financial future, right? Highest earning years, maybe they're at a publicly traded company, they have the option of getting stock in those companies. There's a lot of good things that they could be doing at this stage of their careers or this age group that they're in to be setting themselves up for the future.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what people have done, or when they sit down with us and I say, well, have you done any planning? Like, have you thought about what you need to retire or thought about what you want to get out of this next phase of your life when you stop working? The answer I get from a lot of people is, oh yeah, I went to this website and I plugged in some numbers and I'm fine.
Yeah.
And they think that's good enough. I mean, we're at an age where technology does a lot of easy things for us.
Right.
But I define that as like the George Foreman approach. And what I mean by that is the old George Foreman grill. And
R.I.P. George Foreman, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is set it and forget it. You know, I'm going to put my money away. I'm going to put it into this investment, and I would expect it's going to be fine for years to come. And that's not necessarily the truth.
Yeah. And that's something where you're saying that, which I agree with you, but I think you're saying that, you know, once you start getting into your 40s and mid 40s and you're making, you know, as a couple, you're making a good amount of money, and that's when these things start to become real, these decisions.
Yeah, you can start making intentional decisions. I love that word, intentional.
Yeah.
You can be really intentional with what impact you're going to have in your future.
So what are some examples of things that demographic is doing commonly, not everybody, but commonly doing that is maybe not the most or the best or the most optimal for their circumstances?
Sure. I would say that what I have seen, and maybe you, is when a client comes down or a prospective client comes down and sits with us and they say, well, I have a large chunk of money, $500,000, $1 million in my 401k. And the first question we ask them is, well, how are you investing it? And they say, I don't know. I picked something that said I'm going to retire in the year 2060.
Yeah. So
and they just let it go.
Their age. Yeah.
It's based on their age and what year they might want to retire.
Yeah.
And they could be target date funds, as they're referred to, or age-based funds.
Sure.
And what the industry has tried to do is say, we're going to manage it for you and we're going to make it really simple. And we're going to base it on your age and how many years you have to retire. And as you get closer to that retirement age, we're going to make it super conservative so you see no fluctuation in value.
On the surface, that sounds great, right?
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's like I don't have to do anything. So I'm 47 years old and I open up the fund menu on my 401k and I see, oh, there's a fund just for me. I'm
First 5
47.
options, pick your age.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you know, like you said, there's some pitfalls there, right?
Yeah.
Because if you start diving a little bit deeper into it, and if you've started to go through the planning, you realize, okay, well, being intentional about things, I want to be intentional about putting myself in the best position for the future, right? And these funds that have been created aren't necessarily allocated to you in terms of your best possible outcome. They're somewhat manufactured for the masses, right? And not optimized for, yes, you may be retiring 15 years from now at age 47, but you're going to be in the earth for another, God willing, 30 or 40 years plus after that point. So is a relatively conservative fund actually the best for you and your family when the stated goal is, hey, I want to accumulate as much money as I can towards retirement and make sure it lasts not only the rest of my life, but to impact others. That's where that, on the surface things sound, oh, that makes it easy. It's a default option. Yeah. But then you start digging into it a little deeper and you see that, oh, well, being, by the time I get age 60, having 60% of my assets in fixed income, that doesn't really make a lot of sense.
It's actually one of my frustrations in the industry is they try to base all of the decisions that you can make on your age or what year they think you're going to retire, and they put everybody into the same bucket. And I think you said it earlier where it's one thing for everybody. There's no uniqueness. There's nothing special, but yet each one of us, every one of our clients has a different goal or a different dollar amount that they're trying to plan for.
Sure.
But yet the industry has gone to that set it and forget it. They put everyone into a bucket, and that's good enough.
Yeah.
I guess at the end of the day, maybe it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But that's not good enough for me. That's not good enough for you or our clients. We want them to do better.
Yeah. At age 22, right? You're starting your first job or so on, and you default into a target date or age-based fund. At 22, it's going to be a lot more aggressive. The drawbacks aren't that big at that point, and there's a lot of benefit into starting early and getting your money going into something. But each minute that goes by after that fund is getting more and more way too conservative for what it should be for that person. And once you start getting to your 40s and everything, things start to get real, right? As we all know, you get a lot of pressures, as we were talking about, from both sides. You've got kids growing up, you've got parents that are aging. You've got your own personal finances that you're trying to make the best of, and at the same time build a tremendous future for yourself. I think it really benefits you to be a little bit more intentional about, hey, asking, where am I putting my money and why? How am I organizing things, and why should I be doing it this way?
Right. So when we go back to that question, is what do we commonly see as? I want to say it's a mistake because, again, it's just a common issue is that people aren't being very intentional with how they plan or how they invest their funds.
Yeah.
They just kind of go with the masses.
Yep.
And we can do better for our clients,
Yeah.
and they can do better for themselves. And that's what we're trying to achieve.
Right. So planning. So somebody comes to you and they say, well, I've got that figured out. I'm all set. You hear that sometimes, right?
A lot of times, right?
Yeah.
Clients will go through the process of saying, oh, yeah, I'm putting away what I need to put away to retire. And then what we want to do is ask them, well,
Right.
how much is it?
Yeah, right.
What do you need to retire?
Yeah. How much do you need to contribute in order, or how much do you need to accumulate in your accounts, and by when,
Right.
in order to retire comfortably? And the thing that a lot of folks, I think, don't focus on is when it comes to the investing the right way, is stay comfortably retired. Like we talk about things like inflation often, and making sure that how you invest reflects that, hey, I really need my assets to, up and above the amount that I'm taking out at that time, to outpace the rate at which my costs, and my lifestyle are going up. That's an important piece. So that planning side is tremendously important. And I don't know how many people know, realistically, when you think about where do I need to put my money? When we put the planning, where do I need to put my money? What kind of asset class? How many people know that the long-term average rate of return of something like the S&P 500, right, the broad market index in the United States, some of the 500 top or largest companies, averages about 10% per year over long periods of time? How many people know that?
Our clients do.
Sure, yeah, for sure. Yeah, once they get a chance to talk to us, for sure. But when you talk earlier about people in so many ways going through the motions for a certain amount of time, and of course, if you ask anybody a simple question like, do you want to optimize your financial circumstances? Who's going to say no to that? Okay, but then you bring up what you just brought up a second ago, which is, tell me about your plan. I've already gone through that. I'm all set. How much do you need to retire in order, how much do you need to accumulate in order to, well, I went through that plan a while. I don't know. And they don't know.
And they don't know. And the other side of that is, what are your expenses going to be?
Sure.
Right. How much money do you need to retire?
Right.
Not just how much do you need to accumulate, but what do you need to take out in distributions?
That's a good point, because how much you need to accumulate is directly correlated with how much you need to spend at that time, right? And so that's another factor in this. We talk about how much you're spending. We also got to factor in that the picture from an inflation standpoint is going to be much different 15 years from now than it is today. And so we've got to drill down into, hey, realistically, we got to quantify how much does it cost to run your household, run your lifestyle, because that's a hugely contributing factor to how much money you need to accumulate, for sure.
Yeah, we go back to that question of, oh yeah, I've already got a financial plan.
Yeah.
Right. And that brings me back to our early career when we would go through the motions and create a financial plan for somebody. And at that point, it was a bound document. We literally would bind it, and we'd present it to them. And then the next question is, okay, what do we do with it?
Yeah.
Right. We checked that off the list. And that's what I'm finding is a lot of people are coming to us saying they've checked something off the list of, oh, I'm now a responsible adult. I'm in that age bracket that I can make some meaningful decisions. But they've created a document that they're not living by. And it's not a living, breathing business plan. It's literally something that they just said they did. And what we want everyone to experience is answering some of those, what we think is simple questions, but can be a little overwhelming, is, what do I need to accumulate? How much money do I need at the age of 65 to be able to fund my retirement and not let that asset outlive, or make sure that I can outlive that asset?
Yeah. Used a word too before about being intentional about it. It's so much easier, right, to be intentional about something if you understand it, the concept of it at least, and you build that confidence in it, right? It's so much easier to excel at something and get excited about something if you feel like, oh, okay, I have the equation now. I have the formula that is going to produce what I need to produce, and now all I have to do is execute on it. Rather than, oh, I did this, like your example, I did this plan, and then now if 3 days later it's like, okay, what do I do now? You kind of went through the planning process for nothing, right?
Right.
Because the understanding didn't come through, and unfortunately, because we used to do it too, right?
Yeah.
Early in our careers,
Correct.
it's like we didn't fully understand the impact that a well done plan and planning process has. And then again, the concept, the talk for today is about, all right, well, that age group of, things are starting to get real once you get in your 40s, right?
Right.
In a lot of different ways. And optimizing and being intentional with what you're doing is so incredibly important. And so having a plan, but understanding that formula and what it's going to take to be really successful building towards retirement. If you ask me what the takeaway is for that person or that family that comes to us, and now all of a sudden we're able together to come up with a formula to say, hey, if we all do this together, we're going to get here.
Yeah.
And that builds a lot of confidence with folks, and it creates a pathway to a lot of success.
All right, so I'm going to give you a math exam.
All right.
Are you ready?
I like
because
math.
I know you're really good at math.
I don't know how good. I like it.
Okay. So,
Hey, and you're good at things that you like, right?
That's
There you go.
Right.
There
And
you
we
go.
like talking about
Yeah,
things
right.
we're good at.
That's right.
So we have a couple or an individual that is retiring in 20 years and needs.
Do I need to take notes, by the way, or no?
You're going to be. This is going to be off the top of your head. I believe in you.
All right.
Is they're currently living off $100,000 a year.
Okay.
In 20 years, considering inflation, what type of distributions roughly do you think they'll be needing to take out in 20 years off $100,000?
In 20 years? At a 3% rate of inflation, you're pretty much going to have to take out probably a little bit more than double.
Right.
Or so right around double, most likely.
So saying
So
it's
200?
$200,000
Yeah.
roughly. And that's not a luxurious lifestyle. That's maintaining
That's the same.
your
It's
lifestyle
ultimately the
that
same
you
that
have
had 20
today.
years before.
And now you're going into retirement with
Yeah.
that. So now taking out that $200,000 a year, how much money do they have to save to live off of? Like how much money do they have to put away so they can live off of a reasonable distribution rate?
Start with one step before, just to explain what you're asked about is a distribution rate,
Yeah.
right? How much can I take out of my accounts at that time without upsetting or without
Sure.
creating a scenario that I'm going to outlive my assets, right? Because you could say, all right, well, you've accumulated this amount of money, but there's also that factor of, well, how much can I take out without running out of money? And so our comfort level there is somewhere around 4.5% to 5%.
Correct.
4.5% to 5%. Well, why is that? Well, because why can't it be more? Well, can it be more? Sure. That depends on how you invest
Right.
to a certain extent. It also depends on the rate at which your cost of living is going up. And we're going to assume for our clients that it's going to be somewhere around the long-term average inflation rate of 3%. So if you take 4.5%, right, or 4.5% and add 3% inflation on that, then your bogey, for your accounts, you need to maintain somewhere around a 7.5%, 8% rate of return over a long period of time in order to maintain your principal over time. So for a lot of our clients, they have goals of not only living a great retirement lifestyle, but the vast majority of our clients have secondary goals. If they have children, they want their money to benefit their children and their grandchildren in some sort of way. Or other clients have different legacy, right?
Yep.
Type of aspirations with
Sure.
their capital. In terms of that distribution rates, for every $1 million that you end up accumulating, 4.5% of $1 million is $45,000,
Yep.
right? And so if you use that math or use a little bit easier math, 5% of $1 million is 50. You asked about 200. So that implies that by that time you need about $4 million to produce $200,000 a year. And that's our comfort level as a firm to say, hey, look, so long as we invest optimally and diversified in an asset class that has shown historically to vastly outpace the rate at which your cost of living is going up, then we're very comfortable saying somewhere in that range of 4.5% to 5%, keeping a little bit of cash on the side too, for a safety net, is an optimal way to operate your financial life.
Yeah. And that answers the question is how much money do you need to accumulate to maintain the lifestyle that you're currently living?
Well, let me ask you a question. It's not so math-based, but let me
Thank
ask
you.
you a question. How many people are walking around outside right now not having any idea how much money they need to retire?
My answer to that is too many.
Yeah.
Just too many. And we go back to what we initially started with is common concerns or issues that potential clients and clients come to us with. Number one is how they're investing their money, and two is not proper planning and not being able to answer that. But if we could get the entire world to say, okay, here's my bogey I need to get to, it'd be a better place. Yep.
So, for that demographic, it's so incredibly important. This time that's left, right? And so, I think as we talked about today, some of the common mistakes are, number one, a lot of folks in their 40s and even 50s are still defaulting to the same kind of savings and investing as they were maybe in, when they were in their mid 20s, which is most likely not optimal for them. They're not being intentional about it. Things are just happening, and they're getting to a point now where that retirement date out there in the future is getting a lot closer. So that's number one. Number two is a common mistake is that not being as intentional as they should be about doing the planning, right? We talked about, is there an understanding of actually how much I need to accumulate, and then how am I going to get there, right? And is defaulting into, like we were talking about before, a target date fund or doing just whatever I've been doing thus far, going to actually foot the bill, so to speak. And then I think what helps is the third is that a lot of people don't know. You said I think you agree with me that when you look outside or you meet somebody, how many people out there in the universe are walking around really not having an idea of not only how much they need to accumulate, in order to retire, but once they do retire, how much can I safely take out of my accounts? Not knowing that information, I think, it makes it really difficult to have success. This type of success that you can have in the future.
Making it achievable.
Making it achievable. Yeah.
So when I think about all of this, it's trying to get people to stop following the herd. In other words, just stop doing what everybody else is doing because you can do better, right? Go off a different path. Start focusing on what's really important to you as an individual and what you can do to make that achievable. And it starts with actually going through the process of understanding a couple of those simple questions. What do I need to retire? How much money am I living off of? And how am I going to make that achievable?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to wrap things up, because you use a great word, and how can you be intentional about it? That's really what it comes down to in doing the work, and good things will happen.